Hey, what's up everybody? So I made this beautiful lag shelf. This particular unit comes with 5 shelves. So on this video I will show you step by step how I made it. Coming up. So I went into my local store and bought a 2x12x12. I asked one of the workers there if they could cut the lumber for me to a more manageable size. In my case, I asked the worker to cut it in half to 6 feet. Once I got back to my place, I started cutting it to the exact length. The first piece that I cut was 6 feet. Next, I started by cutting the smaller pieces. For this particular unit, I only did a total of 5 shelves, but you can put as many as you want. In my opinion, I wouldn't go over 7 shelves. If you're new to this channel and you like what I do, consider subscribing. In the description, you can find all the links to the tools that I use, as well as the material. As you can see, there's a round over on this lumber and we're gonna take that off with the table saw. So the actual width of the lumber was 11¼ inches and I took off 1/4 of each side. So I set up my table saw to 11 inches to take off the first round over. After that, I set up my table saw to 10 inches and 3/4 to take off the other round over. After that, I started by sanding everything with a 120 grit sandpaper. And right after with a 320 grit sandpaper to get me that smooth finish that I wanted before painting the entire unit. Once the sanding was done, I started by assembling everything. And these are the dimensions of how far each shelf should be from each other, only if you're using 5 shelves. But if you're wanting to do 7, this will be the length from shelf to shelf. For the assembly, I'm only using glue and screws. To help me keep it together, I use some clamps, and these are the kind of screws that I use. I drill some holes and then I put in the screws. And this is gonna be a strong joint for this particular project. And then I just finished putting the rest of the shelves. And before painting the shelf, I use wood filler to cover all the holes. And after that, I sanded it one last time with a 320 grit sandpaper. Then I also lightly sanded all the edges of the shelf. And right before I painted it, I used a wet rag to take off any dust. For the painting, I first used a primer and sealer. My evidence you once really cared. I'm reaching for a hand to pull me up, one open to an everlasting love. Exhale the past, inhale. For the back, as you can see, I'm not worrying about any screw holes because that part of the shelf is gonna be against the wall and it's gonna be covered. Once the primer and sealer was dried, I started by putting the first coat of paint. Once the first coat of paint was dried, I used a 320 grit sandpaper and lightly sanded the whole thing. And after that, I put a second coat of paint. And after the second coat of paint was dried, I used these plates to secure the entire unit to the wall. And here I just drilled some holes to put in the screws. Once I decided on which wall I wanted the unit to be on, I just made a few marks on the wall in order for me to put the screw anchors. And I made some holes on the wall to make it easier. And these are the screw anchors I used. And at the end, I just put in the screws. And once again, if you're interested in the tools that I used or the material that I used for this project, please check out the links in the description. And that's it for this video. If you find this valuable, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Until next time.